Right. With regards to the women rights violations, we have many reports that many women in Turkey expressed sexual harassment during strip search by policemen, especially on August 13th, 2020. Approximately 30 students reported that they were strip searched by the police, but the ruling government party, strongly denies it. What is your opinion about that, and do you believe that it is true?
Of course, I believe it is true. We have received a lot of people asking and giving us this information. So I find it scandalous. We women, we need to trust our institution. We don't need to be a victim of institution. And when we are victim of this institution, it's unacceptable. I think it is a kind of humiliation and intimidation of what the women are trying to do in such a country. You know, we work with a lot of countries. It is the same that we are living in Belarus, for example. You have a lot of women demonstrating for freedom and for democracy, and they are targeted by the institution, by the police, by the army, just to intimidate them. They know that women are a very strong power in a country. They can change a lot of things. And so for this, they are targeted in such a regime. So I just can't say that is scandalous to have this situation in a country.
Mrs. Arena, 2 days ago it was a bad day for Turkish democracy. As you might know, on March 17th, Ömer Faruk Gergerlioğlu, a well-known human rights activist and also a member of the Turkish parliament with People's Democratic Party, was stripped of his dutyship status, and he is going to be imprisoned for 1 year and 10 months due to a tweet post that he uploaded 5 years ago. The current Turkish government is now accused of violation of right of freedom of expression. The chair of the delegation of the EU Turkey Joint Parliamentary Committee, Sergey Lagodinsky, the rapporteur for Turkey, Nacho Sanchez Amor, have condemned Gergerlioğlu's expulsion from the parliament. What are the other measures that your committee can take for Mr. Gergerlioğlu?
So first, I totally in line with my two colleagues, Lagodinsky and Nacho Sanchez. So we are working together on this issue on Turkey. And so I totally support what they have written, what they have said, and we are pledging to the High Representative, Mr. Borrell, to ask to the diplomacy and European diplomacy to ask for not to have this kind of attitude in Turkey. And it is we spoke about the journalist. It is worst when it comes to the opposition side, and when you take this capacity to make and to organize an opposition. But it is what we see in all the authoritarian regime. It is trying to shut the mouth of the opposition. And it is what we are seeing in Turkey for the moment. With my colleague Anna Neumann, she's working with me in the DROI committee. She's from the Greens, and we are trying to put a system at the European Parliament to have a kind of network of European MEPs to be in link with parliamentary outside Europe being being in jail or being arrested by the government when they are just defending their position as opposition in a country, and trying to have a kind of, I don't know how to say it in English, a parrainage. Each member of the European Parliament must have in charge a parliamentary outside Europe to defend him as diplomacy, using, for example, the member states when they are in a country, making pressure, being there for the trials, asking for transparency, asking for the release of these people. So we want to be more active in this situation, because unfortunately, it is not only the case in Turkey. We know that there are a lot of people in Turkey being really harassed by the regime. But Turkey is not the only one, and we have to be responsible. We have to be in solidarity with these people. And so it is what we are trying to do at the European Parliament also.
Last Monday, we celebrated the International Women's Day. Maybe many women in Turkey didn't celebrate it at all for different reasons. One reason is that since the coup d'etat happened in Turkey in 2016, many women, including pregnant women, have been unlawfully, due to Turkey's penal code, numbered 5275, imprisoned due to alleged Gülen links. As the chair of DROI, have you ever discussed the issue in the committee, and what is your opinion and your comment on this?
Yeah, we know that Erdogan is using everything when it comes to punish people that are not agree with him. And we know that to be there, he used the Gülen movement, being supported by the Gülen movement. And after that, after the coup, he used the Gülen movement to say that they were the one who organized the coup. And he's just using this to, I must say, to attack people. He said that they are terrorists. He said that they are the one who are organizing the coup. He said that it is a threat for the country. And so he is using this. It is not to say that we will support one movement or another. It is to say that if someone is targeted to destroy a movement, and if he wants to destroy people just because they think in another way of his thinking, we have to protect them. Just like this, it is not to be partisan on a movement or not. It is to say that democracy is not destroying the one who are not thinking like you are thinking. Democracy is giving the possibility for everyone to express themselves. And it is not the way Erdogan is organizing the society. And so we have to denounce this situation. Being women or not, here it is more linked to the Gülen movement. But we know that you have a lot of activists, women in the movement, asking to be free of expression, free of living in a country. And so we have to support them also, but because they are women, but also because they are part of a movement that is a kind of opposition of what we are seeing in the country for the moment.
So our third question is about the press freedom. 90% of the Turkish media are controlled by the Turkish government. Press freedom is deteriorating, many journalists are in prison, many broadcast media have been forced to close due to their opposing stance. What is your opinion about it? What is your opinion about the press freedom as the head of the human of the DROI committee on the issue of press freedom, not only in Turkey, but in Europe in general?
Thank you, Marina, for this question. It's a very important one. When it comes to press freedom, we can't speak about democracy without having this press freedom. And we are seeing, not only in Europe, but also outside Europe, this shrinking space for journalism in the world. Unfortunately, as chair of the Human Rights Committee, I'm not dealing with this issue on European side, because as you know, we have another committee. The name is the Liberty and Fundamental Rights Committee, and they are working on this situation of shrinking space for journalism, for example, in countries such as Hungary, Poland, but also in other countries. So we have to be very, very aware of the situation in Europe, because it is difficult for Europe to promote this freedom of speech outside Europe if we are not a model on this freedom of speech. So for me, it is really important to protect freedom of speech inside Europe, to be sure that when we are outside Europe, we are not criticized about this freedom of speech in Europe. This is the first thing that we have to do. And we see outside Europe that journalists are really harassed in all countries, in all authoritarian regimes. And it is the case in Turkey, of course, just because it is a power. It is a power to inform people about the real situation in a country. And when the media are in the hand of the government, it is not the way of guaranteeing the freedom of speech. It is also the same thing when the media are only on the hand of the private sector. It is not freedom of speech, neither. So it is important to have this balanced situation to guarantee that people have access to all this information that they want to have access on. So for me, the situation now in Turkey is really a concern for us. And I've heard, for example, that the new information coming from Turkey and Egypt is also worrying me, because a lot of journalists being in Turkey, in exile in Turkey, and having criticism about Egypt, I've seen that the first answer to this is to close some media in Turkey because they have this freedom of speech. And so it is really something that we have to fight against, and also to protect this journalism, to do what they have to do when it comes to inform people. It is not to say that you can do and you can say whatever you want. Journalism is a profession. We have to have professionals in journalism. We have to have people well trained, well prepared, well educated, to be sure that they are doing their work also. And perhaps we can answer also in another question is how it is possible to guarantee that the journalists are well educated and trained. And also in Turkey, we have seen that the government is trying to shrinking the education, and having at the beginning people thinking just as what the government is thinking, and not having a broad way of thinking in the country. So it is also something on which we have to work and support, for example, university in Turkey to guarantee that these young people can have and can receive the good education to be good journalists as it is.
After the coup d'etat in Turkey, roughly about 600,000 have been investigated for terror charges. 150,000 public servants have been dismissed, including teachers, academics, judges, etc. Nearly 100,000 of them have been jailed. It is said that nearly 50 billion euro worth of assets have been confiscated by government. Turkish judiciary failed to address these, and about 30,000 people applied for European Court of Human Rights as a last resort for their basic rights. However, European Court of Human Rights found these applications inadmissible due to the internal remedies having been exhausted in Turkey. which seems there is a judicial system that works properly in Turkey. What do you think about this stance of European Court of Human Rights upon this?
Yeah, I understand this very sad situation, and unfortunately, I can't comment the position of the European Court of Human Rights. But what I can say is that Turkey is a very top rank at the European Court of Human Rights, as well as Russia, for example. So it is not to say that it is not important for the European Court of Human Rights. And we have had, for example, a decision on Demirtas, for example, on the European Court of Human Rights, supporting the situation of Demirtas, even if the Turkey is not respecting what the court is asking for. But unfortunately, I can't comment this situation. Perhaps it's a question of process, perhaps, but it's not to say that the European Court of Human Rights is not, I must say, concerned about the situation in Turkey.